Good morning, everyone. Today, I will be presenting an important component of research methodology, population and sampling. It helps us clearly define whom we are studying, how we select them, and what type of data we use to answer our research questions. In this presentation, we will briefly explore key concepts of population, sampling, and types of sampling with examples. Understanding these concepts is essential because they influence the accuracy, credibility, and generalizability of research findings. Let's begin with the concept of population. Population. Population refers to the entire group of individuals, items, or elements that a researcher wants to study or draw conclusions about. It includes all units that share at least one common characteristic relevant to the study. Sampling. Sampling is the process of selecting a smaller group, sample, from the population so that the collected data represents the whole population. Why sampling? Studying the entire population is costly, time-consuming, and sometimes impossible. A sample helps to generalize the results to the population. Example: population. 1. For primary data. If your study is about consumer purchase decisions in Biratnagar Ward No. 9, then populations are all consumers who purchase beauty and skincare products in Biratnagar Ward No. 9. Suppose total number of consumers are 5,000 people. 2. Secondary data. If your study is about the impact of leverage and capital adequacy ratio on profitability of commercial banks, then populations are all commercial banks. Total number of commercial banks are 20. Example: sample. 1. For primary data. If your study is about consumer purchase decisions in Biratnagar Ward No. 9, then from 5,000 consumers in Biratnagar Ward No. 9, if you select 300 respondents, sample size are 300 respondents. 2. Secondary data. If your study is about the impact of leverage and capital adequacy ratio on profitability of commercial banks, then from 20 commercial banks, if you select 10 commercial banks, sample size are 10. Types of sampling. Sampling methods are mainly divided into two broad categories. A. Probability sampling, PS. Every member of the population has a known and equal chance of being selected. This method is more scientific and allows generalization of results. Types of PS. 1. Simple random sampling. Everyone has an equal chance, like a lottery system. Example: primary data. Selecting 1,000 consumers out of 5,000 randomly from a list of all consumers in Biratnagar Ward No. 9. Secondary data. Randomly select 10 out of 20 commercial banks in Nepal using a lottery method. 2. Systematic sampling. Selecting every kth element from a list after a random start. Example: primary data. Every 5th customer who using a skincare store is surveyed. Secondary data. Arrange 20 commercial banks alphabetically. Select every second bank for the study. 3. Stratified sampling. Population is divided into subgroups, strata, based on characteristics such as gender, age, income, then random samples taken from each group. Example: primary data. Dividing beauty product consumers into age groups: 18-25, 26-35, 36 plus, and randomly selecting from each. Secondary data. Dividing banks based on characteristics and sampling from each group. Example: divide 20 banks into 3 government-owned, 17 private-owned. Then select proportionally from both categories. 4. Cluster sampling. Population is divided into clusters, usually geographical areas, and entire clusters are randomly selected. Example: primary data, choosing 3 wards from Biratnagar Metropolitan and surveying all consumers from those selected wards. Secondary data, selecting groups, clusters instead of individual banks. Example: select banks located in Province 3 as a cluster and study all banks within that region. B. Non-probability sampling (NPS). Not every member has an equal chance of being selected. Used when time, budget, and accessibility are limited, very common in Nepal. Types of NPS. 1. Convenience sampling, selecting respondents who are easily available. Example: primary data, questionnaires distributed online to social media users who use beauty and skincare products in Biratnagar, Ward Number 9. Secondary data, banks selected based on easy access or availability of data. Example: choosing only those banks that immediately provide financial reports. 2. Purposive sampling. Researcher selects specific people who fit the study purpose. Example: primary data, choosing only buyers who actively follow beauty influencers on Instagram. Secondary data, researcher selects banks that fit specific criteria. Example: selecting only Class A commercial banks that have complete profitability records for 5+ years. 3. Snowball sampling. Existing participants recruit more participants. Example: primary data, a respondent shares the survey to friends who also purchase skincare products due to influencer marketing. Secondary data. One bank recommends another. Example: a bank officer directs the researcher to another bank with required data access. 4. Quota sampling. Respondents selected to fill specific quotas based on characteristics. Example: primary data, surveying 60% female and 40% male consumers because that ratio represents market behavior. Secondary data, fixing a certain number of respondents from each category. Example: select 5 private banks, 2 government banks to match Nepal's banking structure.